Yogi clan, what's up? Sorry, I just woke up. Nap time. It's Sunday. Oh, excuse me. It's Sunday. The bike the fat boy is now done on the lift. It is time for the next motorcycle to go on the lift. Here it is. Right there. 1998 Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad. What's wrong with it? Broken oil gear down in the engine. Needs to be cleaned up, or needs to have the engine pulled, oil gear pulled out, new gear put back in, and put the engine back in the bike. So that is the next beast to go on the lift. Needs a little bit of polish. A little rust on there. We'll see if we can get that off. Radiator. You gotta drain that fluid. Drain the oil. This looks like a cracked boot or something. Gasket cover on the back. Got lockable hard bags. Left side exhaust. Sissy bar and luggage rack. It's got left and right exhaust. The right exhaust, you can see, is not on. That's actually in the garage. I forgot about that. And one of these stud bolts, well, it looks like both of them are bent. May wind up seeing if we can replace both of those, because they just don't look in good shape. Yeah. Let's see how hard it's going to be to pull this. Shouldn't be too bad. I'll have to take off all the floorboard equipment. Down here on the bottom, take off all the floorboard equipment, drain the radiator, start pulling off some of these hoses, start pulling off some of these air cleaners. That's a fork lock space. Yep, fork lock. Keys are hanging right here. Turn signal doesn't look so good. There we go. Hey, look at that. Fixed it. Didn't even do anything. So yeah, so this bike can be donated after it gets fixed. Single side? Is it dual side? Oh, look at that. Dual side brakes. So that is the next bike that's going on the lift. Matter of fact, we're going to take mine off and go put this on. So let's do that.
Whose bike is this?
One of my friends.
Good?
You bye.
Alright, my peoples, as you can see, last night we rolled the new project into the garage, the Vulcan, the Nomad. So, give you a little history. I've done a lot of wrenching on motorcycles. Have I ever pulled an engine before? That is the one thing. I have never really done engine work. I've done work on cams, but I've never actually torn into an engine before. So this is going to be a maiden voyage. So let me kind of set the stage for this. So a friend called me and said, hey man, I have a motorcycle that has a broken oil gear in it. The only way you can really get it out properly and do it right, there are two ways. You can drill a hole in the side of the case and snake the oil gear out and snake a new one in there, then weld back up the hole. That's one way that people on forums have been talking for that particular bike on how to fix this oil gear. It's notoriously a problem because it's a plastic oil gear, and after a while it just breaks down and disintegrates. So the goal here is to tear it apart and put a steel oil gear in there and just rectify the problem. So I figured, hey man, we got a dead engine. You know, the bike doesn't run because the oil gear is shot. So here's a perfect bike for me to tear an engine apart and work on and learn on and not have to worry about messing it up because it's already messed up, right? So the owner sent me, he has on PDF the Chilton's manual for it, so he sent that to me. So what I'd like to do, here's my goals. This is probably going to turn into a multi-video project that's going to be going on. And I'm going to start with probably this week. This week I'm going to attempt to get the engine out of the bike and up on my workbench. On my workbench, I got two areas. One's a dedicated work area. The other area is really meant for me to set up my laptop at, so I can be looking at parts, looking at how-tos, looking at instruction manuals, looking whatever I need to look at in order to do work on a bike and bring video to y'all. So what I'm thinking is on one area of my workbench, I'll have my computer set up with the Chilton's manual, and the other side I'm going to have the motor. And behind me I'm going to have a table that as the parts come off the motor, I'm going to categorize them probably in Ziploc bags to keep things together. So I remember how they go back together, and organize it all on the table and work on it all on my workbench. Yeah, I figure from the workbench it'll be easy to be setting up cameras to record a lot of this, but I'm not going to be telling you really how to do it. You're really going to be more along with me learning while I'm learning it. So I'll be talking through some of the things I'm thinking, and maybe somebody will watch and be like, hey, remember when you put this back together, check this, or when you put that back together, check that. So not only is it going to be educational for me, and I'm going to be learning, but I hope it's educational for you and you're going to be learning. So let's talk about the metric versus Harley thing. Yes, most all of my work has been done on Harleys, but you know what? In my opinion, a bike's a bike. Yeah, there are differences versus the metric versus the Harley, but still, it's a rolling chassis with an engine in it, and I don't know. I kind of don't really think that there's going to be a whole huge variance between that bike and my Fat Boy, for instance. Yeah, the transmission, the primary, they're all set up a little bit different. You put all the oil in one hole versus 3 different holes. Yeah, there are differences. Yes, there are. Absolutely. I'm not going to take away from that, but I'm not going to say, one, it's not like the difference is I'm working on a helicopter. It's still a motorcycle. It's still a cruiser motorcycle. So a lot of the things I think that I can learn from tearing this engine apart, I can transfer into learning about other engines. And yes, obviously there will be differences. I get that. I know that. But I still think it'll be a great experience. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it. And keep an eye on it and watch us tear this motor apart, tear this bike apart, and I'm gonna just be doing a freshen up on the whole bike. So I'm gonna be going over the whole bike, making a list for the owner of what needs to be replaced, what needs to be repaired, and what can wait for later, but needs to be serviced at some point in time. So we'll do a full T-clock inspection on the bike after we probably get the motor done. That's our first and primary focus is the motor. Second, and getting the carb cleaned out. The bike's been sitting for about a year. The carb was cleaned and rejetted before it was parked, but it's been sitting for a year, and it's been sitting with all fluids, including fuel in it. So I will probably pull some of the carb apart just to clean it out, to get any old fuel that's in there out. I'm hoping to get something to get the gas out of it today, like a siphon to get the gas out. Now I realize this is a carbureted vehicle. Yes, I can just disconnect it at the fuel line, put a funnel with a tube going down into a gas can, and drain the gas out that way. I do realize I can do that. But many of the bikes that we have today are fuel injected, and you can't do that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get a siphon. That way I have it for other bikes. and just use, this is a practice bike. This is a practice taking it apart and putting it back together bike is what this is, with the goal and the intent of getting it running so the owner of it can donate it to another person. It's going to be a donor bike. So let's see if we can get this donor bike up and running. That's our next goal. I will keep the frame as a rolling chassis. That way I can get the tank off, get the floorboards off, get the exhaust off, dump all the fluids out of it, and then pull the engine out. But I still have a rolling chassis. That way I can get the bike off the lift. That way if other bikes come into the shop, into the garage while I'm still working on this engine, I can service other motorcycles while we're working on this engine. And keep it a rolling chassis, and may put it under the deck with a cover over it to keep it protected while I work on the engine and keep room in the garage. I don't know. Or it'll just sit in the lift. I don't know. It depends upon how long this takes to work this. So just want to let you know what I'm getting into. Want to let you know what that video that we recorded last night is all about, and where we're going with this, and what you can expect for content coming down the road, for wrenching content. So remember to like, subscribe, and share, and let's see if we can get this bike fixed. I'm kind of curious because it's dead. It's dead. So we'll pull the battery out, keep it on a trickle charger. That way it stays nice and fresh, and hopefully we can bring this bike back to life. So stay tuned and let's make it happen. All right, Yogi Clan. Peace.